Welcome to Book Talk. I'm Stephen Usery, and today we have the two most beautiful words in B movies, Bruce Campbell. Bruce, thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
Bruce Campbell, of course, is the star of screens big and small in the Evil Dead series, Maniac Cop, The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., Jack of All Trades, and of course, many, many more. His memoir, If Chins Could Kill, established his literary credentials, and his most recent book is How to Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way, published by Thomas Dunn St. Martin's. Bruce, when I first got the new book, I thought, great, Bruce Campbell is going to help me save my relationship with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Then it turned out How to Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way is a novel. Explain yourself, sir.
Well, just be thankful that it is a novel, because I don't know the first thing about relationships, and my wife forbade any attempt at advice whatsoever, because she says, you're not qualified. So the funny thing is that it actually started out as a gag relationship book. And then, I quickly realized that I didn't know anything what I was talking about, even in a humorous sense, and that it was going to be much better off in a fictional form. So it really morphed into a book, like a what-if book of what would happen if you took a B movie actor, meaning me, and put me finally co-starring in a big Hollywood A movie. What would happen? And the answer is that it's a really bad idea. So.
Of course, you're using a lot of real people in this book.
Yeah, the book is littered with real people.
Have you gotten any feedback?
No.
Are you counting on people in Hollywood don't read?
You know what? They don't read, so that's a very good point. We're completely safe in that respect. They're public figures. Everyone that I talk about in the book. And it happens to be, so it's a novel, so it's make-believe. It's a satire, so none of it is really meant to be taken seriously at all. And finally, I'm the biggest jerk in the book. So, I just portray the characters, the real people, pretty much how their public persona is. Richard Gere is a peace-loving Buddhist, and so why not trash his penthouse in a fist fight? That was my theory. So that's sort of what the whole book is all about. It's kind of poking fun at Hollywood, because I think Hollywood desperately needs to be poked fun at. Because they take themselves so seriously, but their movies are so stupid.
Why did you pick Mike Nichols? Was it because of all the troubles he had with Town and Country, or?
No, I picked, what I did is in the book, I created a package, because everything in Hollywood is about a package. So I picked a package that I thought would actually get made. That if you had a generic love story called Let's Make Love, starring Richard Gere and Renée Zellweger, directed by Mike Nichols, that Paramount, and produced by Robert Evans, that Paramount would probably make that movie.
Now, in the book, you referred to Paramount as Paramount. Now, what's the difference between...
No, Paramount is only in the graphics.
In the graphics.
Paramount is in the paper. There's a weird distinction between... You don't want to mess with a company's logo. They get really crappy. Gulf and Western would come after me with long knives and men in alleys at night. If I made fun... So it's really... We just took the Mad Magazine approach. We just tweaked everything a little bit. We tweaked... The graphics are half the fun of the book, is that, there's fake business cards, there's fake DVD covers, and we had to just tweak everything enough that we wouldn't get hollered at by the judge.
Now, how did the idea to put such a graphic element to the book come about?
I've always liked graphics. To me, it's all different forms of, it's just visual entertainment. I just like to entertain people, hopefully with words, but in this day and age and with limited attention spans, it's kind of nice to have something to look at, too, in case the words are too boring. The first book has tons of graphics, just because it was handy to show my world in the B movies with the use of photographs, and I got kind of used to having them around. And this book, because it's so ridiculous, lends itself to a lot of tangents and rants and things like that, and graphics can help you do that.
Now, what did your editor think when you said, let's scrap this and turn it into a novel? Or was it
well, the editor and I were hashing around a long series of notes one day and started spitballing all these ideas, and there was a long pause on the phone, and we finally sort of realized it at the same time. We went, we're crossing the line here, aren't we? We're going from nonfiction to fiction. And he went, yeah, I think we are. So we decided to notify the publisher of that. And they were like, oh, how wonderful. So they were okay. They didn't really know what we were making until we turned it in. And that's okay, because neither did we.
In your placement in the bookstores, you actually get on the fiction shelves, or are they trying to move you over to entertainment, or how's that working?
Oh boy, I don't know. I don't even know where I am in bookstores. I don't really pay attention. The first book obviously is either under actors or autobiography, something like that. This one, hopefully, I think it might be in the humor section. I've seen it places which is fine.
Now, of course, you mentioned that you come across as the biggest jerk in the book.
Yeah, I'm a moron in the book, no question about it.
So what are the differences between you, Bruce Campbell, and the Bruce Campbell of fiction?
Hopefully everything, because in the book I'm a desperate idiot. Who really wants to desperately want to finally be in an A movie, and personally I could care less, because the A movies are mostly boring to work on, because they take too long. I bring the thickest book I can find when I work on a big A movie, because they're moving at a snail's pace. One time I was making a low-budget movie called Running Time, which is a real-time crime drama shot in 16mm black and white. It was an absurdly sort of ambitious project for $110,000. So I was comparing my daily shooting ratio to a friend of mine who was working as an assistant director on Men in Black. And we were just comparing notes that they took 14 hours to shoot an eighth of a page. We took 6 hours to shoot 10 pages. And what that does is, after a while, it gives you a reverse arrogance. That we can do what the A movie guys can do, because we can always slow down and spend more money, but they can't speed up with less money. So I believe if you can do B movies, you can do anything.
So what do you think major movies lends themselves to going so slowly? Is it the union people? Is it just everyone wants everything to be
It's because you have a helper, an assistant, and a second, and a third assistant, a guy to pick up cable, a guy to clean the cable, a guy to wrap the cable, a guy to look at the cable, and the old joke is, how does a Teamster tell a bedtime story? Once upon a time and a half, So, those are structures that set up, it makes it a big bloated production where, in my feeling, you can work a lot more efficiently with fewer people.
And also the cappuccino budget.
Well, just everything is slow. You have to set up this massive food table that's just there all the time. And so in between shots, people are just going, should I have the blue M&Ms or the bean dip with and the people are always making these fancy things, and to me that has nothing to do with making movies.
So you got your start making movies very early. So many of your high school classmates have gone on to careers in the movie business. Isn't it amazing that such a small town can come up with so many?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that we're still all friends, because it's I don't know a lot of regular sort of folks in any walk of life who have half a dozen friends from high school that they still hang around with, other than people who've never left their town ever and will never leave their town. But in this case, we're still in the same industry. The guy who shot the photo on the cover of the book of Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way is, I met him in kindergarten. And I just like working with people that I already know. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you do it.
And that probably speeds up.
Ted Raimi, who's in Man with the Screaming Brain, I used to babysit him and take him to cello lessons. That's how I got free food over at the Raimi household.
It also gives you a little pull as the director.
Well, yeah.
In the book, you play a character, and his character is Foyle, the doorman for
Right.
Richard Gere's building. And Bruce Campbell in the book goes through a ton of research to get the character just right.
Yeah.
How much research did you do on the research?
Well, the good news about writing a novel is you can just pull it all out of your head. And that's mostly what I did. I live in the woods in Oregon. So I wasn't going to go running around to some Savannah Gentlemen's Society to do research on a gentleman. I just made it up. That's the beauty of writing a novel. You fake it, and hope that people will buy your baloney. But there's always going to be some research. If you're doing there's a whole scene where I have, dinner with Liz Taylor. So, yeah, you better find out what she's been in. It was because her whole subject was how many times she's been married and divorced. So you got to research all those people, and so that you can create a conversation based on some form of knowledge. So, yeah, there is definitely research, but I didn't travel the globe and treat it like my character does in the book, where he finally is so terrified of being in an A movie that he's got to do research finally.
So with the Liz scene, did you actually read a biography, or did you do 5 minutes on IMDb?
No, IMDb kind of sucks as far as information goes. I mean, they're only about 80% accurate. I've got movies listed on IMDb that I did in 8th grade. They were regular 8mm, so they got to work on that a little bit. Information, the internet is a good source. It's not always an accurate source, but if you cross-reference a bunch of sources, you get an idea of what's going on. So there's plenty of source books and movie books, and entertainment information is pretty easy to come by.
And you've put out your memoirs, If Chins Could Kill. Was that a move to provide information you think people needed, or did you just want to make the diehard fans?
No, I wrote that book because I was pissed, the first book.
What were you pissed about?
Well, I was pissed because no one gives a rat's ass about the other 99% of the business. The only media you hear and see and talk about is, the Ben Afflecks and those yahoos. But for every Ben Affleck, there are 100 actors who are working all the time and make a good living, and no one cares about them. So 99% of the media focuses on 1% of the business, which is the real creme de la creme A people, the Angelina Jolies and the Brad Pitts, who are mostly in tabloids now anyway. So I thought, well, it's a story that needs to be told. There's a lot of working stiffs out there who make a good living over a long period of time, working harder than a lot of these A-listers and scraping out more of a living. So I thought it was a story that hadn't been told.
And whose biography would you want to read that hasn't been put out?
That has been put out?
Has not been put out.
Boy, I don't know, because most actors that I would list probably have something written about them. William Holden's my favorite actor, because he's a man,
Well, there's Christopher McDonald.
Yeah, Christopher, yeah, exactly. who's obviously a nemesis in the book, because he and I sometimes go up for the same role, so I thought it was fun to make fun of him in the book, even though I don't. I accuse him of being more successful than me in the book. So I'm not really worried about what he thinks either.
I thought one of your best roles as an actor was playing the King, Elvis Presley in Bubba Hotep.
Sure.
And you actually made it an emotional role and didn't go for the cheap laughs all the time. How did you
No,
go about
but that was the nature of the movie. The movie didn't go for cheap laughs, really. I mean, it could have easily devolved into some form of cheeseball parody. Because look, if you talk about a movie with Elvis Presley, who's 68 in an East Texas rest home with cancer on his penis, and they fight a mummy, with the help of JFK, you're already you're riding the line anyway. So the only way that we thought we had a chance was to do it dead straight, to treat the material like it was, and to treat the characters with respect. Ossie Davis playing JFK, that's a bit of a stretch. For those that don't know that Ossie Davis is an African American, but so he happens to be crazy in the movie. My character's not crazy; he is Elvis. But that was the only hope that we had, was to do it for real. Because I thought there was a nice underpinning of that movie. For all the hokey premise of the movie, the underlying nature is really a sweet story about what do you do with old people. I mean, it should be called Grumpy Old Ghostbusters.
Well, it was the friendship between JFK and Elvis.
Yeah, it was their
really
buddy. It's a buddy movie for old crotchety men.
And what was it like working with Ossie Davis, who's just an incredible actor?
Ossie Davis, he's just about everything you think he would be. He has a tremendous amount of poise. I mean, the first day of shooting, this guy's 83. It's Ossie, okay, time to lie face down on the carpet, in your bedroom. That's his first shot in the whole movie. And he's like, yeah, where do you want me to lie down? There was no airs about him. His first movie was 1945. So nothing fazed him. He had seen it all. This is the man who eulogized, Malcolm X, thank you. Yeah. So this is a guy he knew JFK. That's what kills me. He had met him at various functions. That's how, now for him to play him was kind of a hoot, I thought. But it was nice. He also helped legitimize the movie. Mm-hmm. Because it's one thing for Bruce Campbell to be in a mummy movie, it's like big deal. But then you go, what's Ossie Davis doing in this thing? I ask them that every day. Ossie, what are you doing here? The hardest thing about getting him was getting past his agents. Because we submitted the script to him with an offer, and his agent said, we're not going to show this to him. And we're like, why not? Because we don't want to. Well, you have to. No, we don't. So Don Coscarelli, the director, knew another director who had worked with Ossie Davis who knew his home number. So Don Coscarelli called him at home. He's like, hey, sorry to bug you during dinner, but I got a script that you should read. And once he got it, within a few days, he said yes.
So did he ever answer you on why he was in this movie?
He liked the material. It was a good role for Ossie Davis,
It was.
So I think actors, at the end of the day, they don't really care about budgets, most of them. They just care about a role. Give me a good role. I think his grandkids knew who I was. He had no idea who I was, but I think his grandkids were like, yeah, get that Evil Dead guy. He's fine.
You're currently on your Summer of Love tour.
Yeah.
Promoting your book and your movie, your feature directorial debut, The Man with the Screaming Brain.
Yes.
Why did it take so long to get the project going?
Well, once you see the movie, you'll know why. No, it's a weird story. You know, movies are hard to make. They're hard to get the money for. And I salute anyone who can actually pull, you know, $1 million some odd together to make a movie. That's a huge feat. So for us, I'm embarrassed to say it took 19 years. The original kernel of the idea was given to my friend, my partner David Goodman, in a rowboat in 1986. And it sort of morphed from there into various versions of the screenplay. We were kind of half financed, a third financed, a quarter financed. It would always fall apart. And I had given up on it long ago. And then we had it on Sci-Fi Channel's desk. It was on someone's shelf there for 2 months, sort of molting. And then an obscure TV movie called Terminal Invasion aired on the network. And they were kind of like, they didn't like it. So they just sort of dumped it. But because of some of the fine people out there, it scored much higher than their average TV movie. And I got a call the next day saying, you know, A, who are you? And B, what else you got? And I said, well, I got a project there called Man with a Screaming Brain. And so they pulled it off the shelf, you know, blew the dust off it and went, we love this. So they put up half the money and the German tax fund put up the rest. So, jawohl, baby.
So are you big in Germany?
No one is as big as David Hasselhoff. No, I don't know. The German law is they can still invest in tax shelters for entertainment. I love the sound of that. So that's how it got put together after all this time. And it got put together very quickly.
What was it like? You've directed a couple of short documentaries.
No, I'd actually done Hercules and Xena episodes for years, going back 10 years.
But for a feature film?
Yeah, it's the same thing, because it was a TV movie.
Okay.
So the pace was exactly the same. It was like shooting 2 Xena episodes back to back. I mean, that was the pace of it. Every day you're shooting 6, 7, 8 pages, which is plenty. Let's see the Men in Black people do that.
Who's in your cast for the film?
We got a real actor, Stacy Keach, who I'd worked with before. Ted Raimi, who, of course, I use him in everything I do to make me look subtle. So we got Ted, and then Tamara Gorski, who plays this scheming gypsy. Because the basic story is, I rewrote it for Bulgaria, by the way, because in the low-budget arena, you have to adjust. You have to make lemonade the entire time out of the lemons that you're given. And this lemon was, you are shooting in Bulgaria. And I'm like, are you serious? That's 2 countries away from Iraq. You know, what if a Scud missiles goes stray? You know, so they shoot there because the average Bulgarian makes $110 a month. And a friend of mine, they wanted me to do 2 movies back to back. So a friend of mine made a movie, we made a movie together. And I called him up. I said, hey, the good news is we're going to make your movie. The bad news is you're going first. Because I didn't know what it was like to shoot in Bulgaria. You know, what was the actor situation, the crew, how fast do they go? Are they any good? Do they know what they're doing? And he cursed me every day. But I thanked him every day because I stole all of his actors, all the actors that I thought were good, because there's no audition that's as good as being on a set. Mm-hmm. So I cherry-picked the ones I thought were good.
So how does a union workforce compare to a former communist workforce?
The union they move about the same speed. You know, a big bloated union workforce. It takes 7 people to get one thing done. You know, and in Bulgaria, they're emerging from communism still, but they have that kind of poker face look. First of all, this is sort of a half comedy, this movie, and you would know it by the crew. I mean, they're sitting there smoking a cigarette with absolutely no expression on their face. For a month, I'm going, boy, this either sucks or you guys there's something wrong with you. So I assume there was something wrong with them.
Well, they knew you have to play it straight for a comedy to work there.
I guess so. But in this particular case, they were incredibly hard workers, but under communism, they waited to be told what to do. So they would just wait to be told what to do. So if I had a shot list that said I've got a scaffolding where we want to put the camera up on a scaffolding, shot number 6, no one would go down and go, hey, they need a scaffolding, better put that up right now. They would just wait to be told, put the scaffolding up, and then they would do it. So it wasn't a real proactive situation. And there was always what I called the Bulgarian surprise.
And that is?
Well, you never knew what you were going to get. Bulgaria was like a box of chocolates. You never knew what you were really going to get at the end of the day. Everything was through translators. So you hope that what you told them and what they told the prop department was correct. I bought a dry erase board. I just drew everything. Here's what this pipe should look like. You know, huh? Da. And they'd go, da. You go, all right, let's see what happens.
Any pleasant surprises come out of it?
Pleasant surprises? No, not really. No, I needed a Vespa. Very simple thing. Get me a Vespa. I need to paint it pink, put girls' tassels on it, and wreck it. So we went through this round and around and around. Give me a Vespa. Can I see a picture of a Vespa? Of course. So they showed me a picture of a Vespa finally after a couple of weeks of tormenting them because, I said, we're about to shoot. How's your Vespa coming? So they finally get it. Can I paint it pink? Yes, of course. Can I wreck it? Of course. So about a week later, we're shooting. I come walking out of this set that we're working on, and across the street is another unit that was shooting the shot of the Vespa being wrecked. And I look over at my translator, Asia, and she's crying her eyes out. I thought, that's odd. A Bulgarian showing emotion. And so I said to my assistant director, Joel, why is Asia crying her eyes out? He goes, oh, because that's her Vespa. It was a gift from her father on her birthday. Yeah, that's the Bulgarian surprise.
So, in the money that you save by paying people maybe $120 a month, but the inefficiency of the language barrier, do you think you came out even on that?
You have to talk to the Sci-Fi Channel about that. I have very strong opinions about shooting in strange places for no good reason. Because look, my original story was set in East LA. So I said to the Sci-Fi Channel, and Bulgaria has no people of color, period. End of story. And I said, who would play the Latinos? The gypsies, who have no written language? That's going to work great. They're going to love all those memos we're sending out. So I convinced them to let me rewrite it. So it takes place in Bulgaria. And so it's okay, all my actors talk funny, but they're Bulgarians. It doesn't matter. So I'm the ugly American.
So is a Mad Scientist movie funnier in East LA or in Bulgaria, do you think?
I think it worked better in Bulgaria because we sort of did it as he's a rogue communist scientist, because Stacy Keach plays that. I play a pharmaceutical magnate who's going to Bulgaria to take advantage of their crumbling infrastructure to diversify his company and get some big tax write-offs. So I'm just there to make money, but through a strange series of events, I wind up getting half the brain of a former communist KGB operative in my head. So the capitalists and the communists must reconcile their differences to team up and find the scheming gypsy that killed them both. What can I say? You'll never see it on an airplane.
Now, you're touring with the film and you're showing it on all your stops. What's the reaction from the audience like been so far?
The reaction's been pretty good, for people who like weirdo movies. I mean, it's a weird movie.
And what's it like to be a barnstorming film exhibitor?
I think it's great because it's really given me a chance to see that there is, in fact, a backlash to the, AMC 90s, where, the giant boxes with their stadium seating and all that sort of stuff. People still like going to theaters that have sticky floors and big velvet curtains, from the 20s and 30s. I was at the Tampa Theater in Tampa, and that's from 1915. It's the most ornate theater you've ever seen in your life, and it's really been a treat to go to have Man with the Screaming Brain play almost predominantly in art houses. There's something kind of fun about that, something that could be cast off easily as a Roger Corman movie, is playing where you would have some other, very obscure subtitled foreign movie.
You also have another movie out.
Because nobody takes movies like that seriously. Even though when I wrote it, I was serious about writing it and put in what I felt was a lot of effort. When we made it, we put in a tremendous amount of effort. But nobody takes that movie seriously. The best review I've gotten for that movie is, for a piece of crap, it's really fun. Because
that takes you back to the German.
When you have a strange genre like that, people they'll never take you serious. It could work like gangbusters, but they don't care because they think that you don't care because it's called Man with the Screaming Brain. They think that you're not being serious. Yet, yeah, we are.
Well, not many people set out to make a bad movie.
No, some people might, but I don't. I've made plenty of bad movies, but it's not like we tried to make a bad movie.
You also have another movie on the theaters right now, Sky High.
Sky High, yeah.
What was your Disney experience like? Bruce Campbell in a Disney
It's
movie?
my third Disney movie.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I made one of the, they've done so many versions of The Love Bug. I've done a version of The Love Bug.
Television version.
Yeah. And I did another TV movie called Gold Rush with Alyssa Milano. So, and I had a TV deal with Disney. So the funny thing is I'm more typecast outside the industry than I am within the industry. Within the industry, I can make a Sky High, and I can make a French film called La Patinoire in Paris, you know. But outside the industry, you know, yeah, you're that Evil Dead guy, aren't you? You know. So, and that's okay by me. I'd rather have it that way than the other way around.
So do you have another film idea in the line that you want to?
Oh, I got plenty of ideas, and 19 years from now, I'll get it made.
Well, and there's been rumors of an Evil Dead remake.
Yeah, rumors, that's a good word for it. If it is done, I don't even know necessarily that there would be an Ash character, because a lot of people had a visceral reaction to that sort of various bits of news that got out there. And if we did do it, it would be for our Detroit investors who got us into the film business that we owe a great debt of gratitude. And if we did do it, it's our own series that we're continuing.
Okay, so you have the rights on that.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's going to be made. We don't know yet. Sam Raimi's busy with a little series called, oh yeah, Spider-Man. That's it.
And of course, with the Evil Dead, you have a huge fan base that's really built up around that.
Yeah, there's a lot of classy people around the world.
You have one of the most intense and loyal fan bases, it seems, in Hollywood or the acting world. At what point does a fan become a fanatic?
When they go through your garbage. And I haven't had that problem yet. I live so far out, no one really knows where I live.
You do live far away from Hollywood now. How does that play into your career? Being out
It plays great. You know, I never would have moved to Los Angeles if it wasn't for the film business. I'm from Michigan. I like air that you can't see. You know, I put in my time in Los Angeles, and I did you know, they don't make movies in Los Angeles anymore. They make them in Bulgaria, and I worked in New Zealand and South Africa and France and every other part, and I worked in every major city in Canada. So they don't make movies there. I did a column, A and B, one year of where did I work? In Los Angeles or out of Los Angeles? And it was 70% of my work was outside of LA, and I went, all right, I'll lose 30% of my work, so what? So I left, and I haven't lost any work, because it's a strange thing. When you're not available, they want you. So I said, oh, I'm moving to Oregon. You want me? Fly me down. Oh, okay. Before, it'd be like pulling teeth to get a car, you know, to get a car rental. So it's been a very good decision.
Well, I think that's all the time we have for today, Bruce.
All right.
Thanks for being here. Bruce Campbell's new book is Making Love the Bruce Campbell Way, published by Thomas Dunn, St. Martin's Books. I'm Stephen Usery, and this is Book Talk.
You're watching the Library Channel, a broadcast service of the Memphis Public Libraries and the City of Memphis.